The truth of the matter is, if you watch our YouTube channel, Bargain Hunter Thrift, we show videos all the time. We show the good, we show the bad. This video we just filmed is probably going to be the worst ever. Probably, well, at least top three. I got to think back. We had some other bad ones, but this is the worst ever. And for the
Okay.
most money ever. Normally we buy units on pride of ownership. There's a skill to it. But this one we just bought for the name, and all you could see was a few boxes. We literally just bought for the name. As soon as I started loading it, I knew it was bad. So is the business real? Yes, the business is real. Crazy ass scores on storage units. Yes, I know several people that just started and became millionaires of it. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you have to work really hard? Yes. Is it a get rich quick scheme? No. On the show, the big difference is in real life, I'm Christian. So if I don't like you, I just don't talk to you. Like, I'm too old. I'm 45 years old. I'm a
Okay.
fat man. I'm a heart attack risk. Like, you, no matter what you have to say, it's not worth it to me to get a heart attack or stressed out, unless you put your hands on my wife and daughter, and then you'll deal with hell fury. Other than that, I don't care. On the show, you see me argue. That's part of the show. Like, the feelings are there, but they're like, okay, well, if Daryl calls you fat or Daryl says you're stupid, you need to reply. You need to come back, right? It's like a football game. It's like if you play football, you cannot just have somebody in front of national television walk by and slap you, right? It's gonna
True.
be flags.
True.
True. So it's the same thing. Also, the one big difference on the show, sometimes you see me in the show and I'll buy really, really bad units. And
Okay.
you would ask yourself, is like, why would he buy that? He's successful, he has money, he's supposed to know what he's doing, right? But if we go to film, every day we go out to film, we usually can't just go to one auction. Where in real life, you can go to 4 or 5 during a day.
Okay.
And if there's 5 units there and they're all junk, we have to buy something to make a show. If we don't, we have to go film again, and that costs the production at least $35,000 to $40,000 per day. And if we do
That's
that a bunch of times, they're really unhappy.
that's it. So
Yeah.
how do you find out about which storage units to buy?
So
You probably have a network, right?
you mean when they come up for auctions, or which
Yeah.
ones?
Yeah.
Which ones to go for?
How do you decide and know which ones are the good ones, and then which ones are even available to be purchased?
Well, available to be purchased easy. Just check your newspaper under lean notices. They advertise it. They usually advertise the people's name too. There's sites like you can go to public storage. It's either public storage or public self-storage auctions.com, which is all the public storage properties. You can go to dandotson.com, American Auctioneers. That's all kinds of local sites that advertise auctions, including auctioneers and list services, or your local newspaper. Then for which one to buy, so that depends on you. If you have no money and you're just trying to build yourself up, the best bet for you is to buy the 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 units, because you always make money in them. It's just work. You might have to throw 80% away. But again, if you buy 5 units a week, okay, let's say you pay an average of $50 a piece, and you can get $400 per unit out, right? That's $2,000. Take off 500 in cost, that's 1,500. Plus, what do we say, 5 units at 50 a piece, 250. So that's a $1,250 cash job a week without getting lucky. That's more than work for most other people, right? And yes, you
True.
work hard and you gotta go through a lot of crap to go through it. But I've bought $50 units. I mean, I've literally bought $100 unit. I made 50,000 on. So, and then you build up. Now, if you're in my type of shoes, where I've been doing the business for a very long time, and like I said, I'm fortunate. I have a lot of financial resources, and we sell eBay, and I can put out large sums of cash without having to sweat it. I'll look for units that look super clean, big, um, that look like they have collectibles in it. Like, I just spent $60,000 on the unit online. They had like model rockets, but huge, like life-size piece. They looked like real rockets, to be honest, or some kind of missile. And then they had NASA frame stuff from the space agency. NASA. People always make fun when I say that. NASA, NASA.
Yeah. No.
So
Yeah.
okay. So, and then like a lot of the stuff said models and like mission stuff, and it was a 10 by 30 packed. And I was willing to go up to 100,000, but they pulled it. So either the guy paid or they got nervous it was getting too much money. So I'm taking gambles and stuff like this. So that's so really that. So it's kind of like the sports cards, right? You can
Yeah.
mess around with Mickey Mantle cards and be like, hey,
True.
I'm only messing around with 7, 8s, and 9s, and that's it. Or you
Mhm.
can try to go to the dollar bins and find cards for $1, flip them for $3. So you kind of have both. It's exactly like sports cards. You have both ends of the spectrum.
So let me ask you this question: like, so when you get into a storage unit, how do you
Uh-huh.
understand the value of what's in that unit? Now, I know you've done this for a while, so I'm pretty sure you have an eye where you can look at stuff and you know. But what about the unknown stuff?
Well, I mean, you live in the greatest time in life right now. You have your phone. You just Google,
So
type
you
it in
just
eBay.
research.
Oh, so that's a
Mhm.
thing that's fake about the show. So we do all these appraisals. It's not necessarily fake. It just makes the show interesting because if I find a rare piano or like some kind of technical thing, all I got to do is punch it in Google. It gives me the answers, right? But that would
True.
make really boring television for you. So it's much more fun if we find an expert in the field and they tell us all about it, the backstory, and then give us the price. So that's something I don't really do in real life unless I have something super high end and I can't
So
find it
give
on
me
Google.
so give me a story about something that you found like that's really valuable or really rare or something that you thought was really interesting.
Well, so what I found, so I'm a collector by heart. Like when I started doing a little bit in sports cards, people were really surprised. But I've been collecting probably sports cards probably since '93. Off and on, with all my collectibles. Like I collect Star Wars figures and stuff, and I'll get like a year where I'm like really into that collectible, and then I'm kind of out of it. I'm into something else, but then 2 years later, I'm like I get back into it again. But I still keep my collection, but I'm not
Mhm.
like chasing it, right? So I like history, I like collectible, and I like really unique stories and unique items. So one time in San Diego, I bought this 10 by 20. It had mainly file cabinets in it, but you could tell they were like old. They were like some cabinets looking from the '60s and '70s, some newer. Uh, it looked like something that somebody stored for a long time. It wasn't like file cabinets that were around the corner in a law office. Okay, it had a
Okay.
bunch of old boxes in there, and I paid like $1,900 for the unit, which back then was a lot of money for units. Turned out the unit belonged to the CEO of a ship called the SS United States. Okay,
Hmm.
which basically the SS United States is the American equivalent of the British Titanic, except it never sunk. And in
Mm.
those file cabinets, he had the entire history. I think it went back to the 50s. Don't quote me, but it's an easy Google. He had the entire history of the ship, including like all special paperwork that came out. There was like a special Dolly voyage, which he had one signed by Dolly. I had the last logbook, dishes. I had Vietnam conversion guides for the ship. They were going to make it into a medical ship to help the war effort. There was just so much cool history about that ship. And then the SS United States was also called, I think it was called SS United States Shipping Company later on also, and it had a few other ships. So it had stuff from in there. So that was really cool history. As a history geek, I just absolutely loved it.
Very cool. Very cool. So
Many
let's take a.
sports cards, many action figures,
Oh,
stuff like that.
I know you do sports cards. I also know you do comic books. I've watched some of your episodes on comic books. But
I
but
like
let's take
everything.
a
I'm a collector.
let's take a step back. Tell everyone kind of your background. Walk them through your origin story, where you came from, and then walk them up to what made you want to start a business. So, what made you want to start doing what you're doing now?
Well, Origins, one day my mom and dad felt freaky. You know,
Mhm.
the man. I'm just kidding. By the way, I know you sent me some questions. I didn't even read them because I like
Oh,
to
don't
answer
worry about
everything.
it. We're
I
just
like it
gonna
all
roll, man.
natural.
Don't worry
Huh?
about it. We're rolling, man.
We're rolling with FDI. I'm like totally natural. I just have fun and
All good, bro.
so
I know when we talked originally, I knew we could have a good conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I just have fun and I say a lot of stupid stuff, so I apologize in advance.
No, you're good.
I'm tired. Been working all day today, hard. It's one of them days like that I used to do in my younger days. I don't do too often anymore, but today was one of them days where I'm like, damn. Oh, that just cracked. I don't know if you could hear
Yeah, I heard your neck crack there. Yeah.
that. All right, so origin story. So I came to America when I was about 12 years old. I did some antique buying and selling actually in Germany when I was 11, but my dad basically just gave me a bunch of stuff. I sold it in a swap meet, probably way too cheap. He let me keep the money, so I really like that concept, right? Then
Okay.
we came to America, and my parents lost everything. They were rich in Germany, they were millionaires, but we came to America, they lost everything, and we started doing swap meets. And then, so they were doing T-shirts. We had this company that was doing T-shirts for all the casinos in Vegas, and I was working at their booth. But then on the side, I started selling toys, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I buy them for like $1,
Oh,
sell them for
yeah.
$3. But I
Mhm.
sell like 30, 40 a weekend. So I mean, this was like probably 93, 94 at 12 years old, making $100 a day just on figures. And then I bought this big collection that really got me going. Where I'm like, oh yeah, this is for me. Where my neighbor kids, they were like high school boys going to prom, and they had like these two big boxes of nothing but He-Man, Castle Grayskull, all
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And they wanted money for the movies with the girls. I'm like, I'll give you $50. And I wholesaled that weekend to another deal on the swap meet, some crone guy, and that's like $400 or $500. I'm like, ooh, I like how this works. This is much better than me folding t-shirts and getting $20 a day. So I started hunting on the swap meets for snap-on sockets. I had a whole network there. I knew every dealer, and they're like, hey, if you find a deep snap-on socket, I give you $4. You find a regular snap-on socket, I give you $3. I'm like, okay, can do. So I started going in the morning to all the booths and see if anybody had any snap-on sockets and try to buy them for 50 cents, $1, because I already knew I had them sold. I used to sell power tools, usually with $5, $10 markups to dealers directly. Then I got into the computer. I'm giving you a quick version. I got into the computer business, started doing repairs, started publishing Computer Magazine, which stopped all my collectibles. And that became really big for a while, but it was a business with my family. Then I met this old guy in Vegas, and he's like, I sell casino chips, limited edition casino chips. I'm like, what is that? He goes like, well, if we have a NASCAR race, so the Frontier's issuing 5 different Tom Petty chips. Or Richard Petty. I think the NASCAR guy's Richard Petty, right? Yeah, five different Richard Petty chips. And they're $5 each. And we sell them on websites for $8 each. I'm like, 60% of your money, not bad. Plus they pay shipping, right? This was pre-eBay. This was all direct through like news group fan clubs. And I'm like, kind of like that. And he's like, here's the best part. They're casino chips. So when you buy them for $5 and you can't sell them in 6 months from now, go return them. Could you imagine that in a baseball card hobby? If the guy's dead or sucks, they'll return them, right? As long as I'm like, wow, 60% of my money. So I started doing that, and I slowly started doing it until the Rolling Stones came to the Hard Rock. They issued a $25 chip for the Hard Rock performance. I went to the Rolling Stones news group and sold like 600-700 of them for like $32.50. Like immediately, like in a week. So that's a lot of money to me back then. At that time, I was probably 16 or 17. Then eBay started coming. So I started a casino chip business on eBay, started selling dice and napkins, and started hunting for the old stuff, kind of like old cards. Eventually, I left the computer journal because I just wanted to be on my own. Got into eBay, started doing everything, and basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 6 a.m. till probably 3 p.m., I would be at yard sales and swap meets. And remember, this is pre-smartphone, so everything that we knew, we had right here and we learned. So what did back in the day, I would have a paper and pen with me. So if I go somewhere and a dude has a collection of something and I don't know about it, like Royal Dalton figurines, and he's asking $30 a piece, and I just don't know, I would write it down. And then I go home and I research on the computer. And then a lot of times back then, you could come back the next day and it still will be there. Or now for the next time. And then it just kept on going. I met my wife eventually in my late 20s, and I was always buying and selling. I had a professional poker career there for a while, but then once we had a baby, I stopped that. I was trying to be responsible.
Understood.
Huh?
Understood.
Yeah, I mean, I was really good at poker, and I actually just won a big tournament. But like all of a sudden, when you have a baby, it's like gambling is really hard. You're just like, oh crap. Okay, this guy's bluffing me. I know he's bluffing me. He's betting 1,800, but if I'm wrong, that's like a lot of baby formula. And what kind of shitty dad would I be? So I'm like, I lost like 10 grand in one night, and which is by being scared. And that's actually not big because I had much bigger wins, much bigger losses. And I told my wife, I'm like, you know what? I can't play poker anymore. All of a sudden, the money matters to me. And all the old timers used to tell me all the time, if you want to be successful in poker, you need to have your other source of income, and then go over to playing poker, so the money doesn't matter. That's where I'm at now, luckily. I did storages here and there before, just for fun. But then once we got married and a few interns, we started getting really serious about it, really successful. Just build it up, did a store, then the show. That's like 40 years of my life in the 90-second version.
That walks us through it, right? So I want to build upon that. You're a business owner. You just walked us through a creative mind of how to really make money over time. Different things that you can do where you add value and you gain income. What advice would you give to someone, either young or older, who wants to start a business? What's some advice you would give them?
Okay, so I give advice that upsets a lot of people. A lot of people get mad at me. So you sure you want that on your show?
I want it.
Okay, you sure?
Positive.
All right. So what I say, and a lot of people get mad at me, and they get mad at me for different reasons. This is the greatest country in the world. Okay? Does this country have issues? Yes, this country has issues, but so does every country. There's countries you walk in the street and you get shot in the head. and nobody says anything, does anything, or it's like, oh, that's just how it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this country, if you want to be a businessman, okay, and you want to be a man, the only body that stops you from being poor or unsuccessful is you. That's it. If you're willing to put the work in, put the Nintendo down, put the weed down, put the beer down, put the partying down, whatever you do to keep you busy that doesn't make you money. When I was young, I was like, my friends would go to bars all the time, and I would go home at 7 o'clock. They're like, "What's wrong with you? Girls are coming, this, that." I'm like, I don't make money. I spend money here. I need to be at 6 a.m. in the swap meet because there's nothing worse to me, especially back then. If I miss a girl, whatever, that's fine. But if I hear that this guy went to the swap meet and at 10 o'clock in the afternoon, he bought the biggest G.I. Joe collection that made him $20,000, and I didn't go because I was drinking with my friends. So the only thing that stops you in this country is you, unless you have some kind of major medical issues. I have friends from pretty much every background you can imagine that are extremely successful.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would tell young people, work hard, never stop. If your competition works 8 hours, you work 12 hours. If and being honest. Be a man of your word. I've sold deals. I made deals with people where it just jumped up or something happened where I made a mistake and I honored the deals. Be honest, be a man of your word. Always make sure that when you go to bed at nighttime, you can be like, you know what? I did good today. I'm proud of myself. I can look in my mirror. I remember one time I bought 2 stolen TVs from a friend of mine. I knew he stole them. And I felt so bad for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I just kept them myself.
Yeah.
And I told my that's the only thing I ever really bought in my life that was stolen. And I don't know why I bought it that day, but it's like the worst mistake I made, messed with my conscience. And nowadays, especially with social media and YouTube and stuff, a lot of that stuff is kind of being justified, and people think, oh, it's cool, and
Yeah.
that's not the way. It's all about honesty, working hard, being a good man. I didn't believe in God when I started, but I'm religious now, so I believe in God. Well, I'm not religious, but I believe in God, so which is a little bit different. But if you do right, good stuff will come to you, and it'll grow. And if you put that hard work in there, even if you fail 10 times, even if you fall every time, you just always fall forward a little bit, right? So
That's
eventually you
right.
will get there wherever you're going. And there's opportunities now for young people. All information. I had to spend years to learn all this stuff. Now you pull out your smartphone, and just now you can take a picture of something. It tells you what it is, right?
That's true.
So you have such an edge. So if you're not successful, it's by choice. It's not because anybody's suppressing you. You're unlucky, or it's literally just by choice. And
So
people
let
get
me
mad
ask
when I
you this
say that.
though. Before you gave your account there, before you said what you said and gave your recommendation, you said it's unpopular. Why do you think it's unpopular? What you just said?
Because I think it's especially now, and I think it was always before where people say the man keeps you down, government keeps you down, like this person is discriminating against me. And trust me, I know discrimination. I'm fat. So people discriminate. If you read my comments, most of the stuff people try to put us down. We have I think like 180,000 on YouTube and
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. We have like 120 and 85, I think, on Instagram. And I even say the whole purpose of our channel, they were like, "Oh, you're just trying to make some ad revenue." It's like, I could care less, man. I'm on international television. God has blessed me, okay? And I had a
Mm-hmm.
good business before that. Like, I'm okay. I'm at a point in my life. I just want my daughter to go to college, give her all the options she has, and then I'm good. Okay. I'm not looking to buy 5 Lamborghinis. I could care less. Now, if I get really lucky, I'll probably would, but it's not my point, right? So my
Yeah.
point of my whole channel is to inspire young people and show them there's a different option. And it doesn't matter. Maybe you do good at college, maybe you didn't, but there's always many different options. And I think a lot of young people today, and also grown people, I get messages all the time where people say, "Oh, it's easy for you to say because you're rich." I'm like, number one, I'm rich not for the reasons you think I'm rich. And number two, I was poor most of my life. Okay. When I was little, I was rich. When I came to America, my parents lost everything. I used to go 3 times a week with my mom in the most ugliest station wagon you can imagine. It was eggshell white with the wood paneling, but my dad decided to paint the wood paneling green with brush strokes. Okay. And the
Mm.
shit was falling apart. So you can
Yeah.
imagine what I looked like. One time, the worst moment of my life, I had this big crush at this girl in junior high school. And I pull up to this house and I go to the trash. I start looking through the trash, see if I can find anything. The girl walks out of that house. I was
And
like in
sees
eighth
that
grade.
eggshell with the green paint on the side.
Oh, yeah, and I'm going through her trash. And I had history class with her in eighth grade. I was like, freak. She never said anything in school. She never said anything to anybody. So I still remember her name. Her name is Angela. She had short hair. I think she might have been Latina. I'm not sure. She was a mix. I'm not sure. Very beautiful to me. I really liked her. But obviously after that, and like, but I mean, that for like a guy, that's like, that was rough, you know? But we did what we had to do. So I tell people that like I worked myself to where I'm at. And I still do. I spent the day loading a truck, going through boxes, and it's not fun when it's crap. You know, it's fun when you go through and you start finding all kinds of killer stuff. You know, but when you go
Yeah.
through and you just find crack pipes and garbage, it's not a fun job. So so the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of people, it's much easier to come up with excuses than just to go out and do and make it happen. So when we say this stuff, people that are not successful and have no interest in changing, they get very they attack, and they just don't like that. They don't want to hear that. They want to say they have an excuse why they're not successful. Now, if you have
The
some major medical issues, and let me just tell you, I have a friend. His son is a quadriplegic. I'm saying that wrong. He's in a wheelchair. He barely can move his hands, neck.
Okay.
He's an editor for one of the studios, a head editor. He drives himself. He works himself. So there's no excuse. And he has like all the decks stacked against him because he can't lift up a cup of coffee. So if that guy can go out and be successful and probably has a six-figure job a year, so can anybody else.
Let me ask you this, because I've asked people this question before.
Go ahead.
So you built yourself, you're successful. How does that play out with people that you've known for years? Like sometimes people become successful and they almost feel alienated because there's people that they've known before that are maybe less successful that don't want to hang out with them anymore or not around them anymore. Can you speak to that? Because a lot of people, I think, fear separation from others. We just talked about managing your time and using your time wisely, but people also think, well, if I do this, I may not be around this same crowd anymore.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Number one, I want to say success is a matter of perception. So I think for all of us, success, the first thing you have to decide what is success for you, and you have to be honest. You know, if success for you is to drink a 12 pack of beer and watch football on Sunday, and that's okay. I'm not even judging that because I love watching football on Sunday. I just don't drink the 12 pack of beer. So you got to find where your success is to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And then so sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm really tired. It's been a really long day.
Go ahead.
But
Go ahead.
so the second part, so what I do, it's a tough question. So I did have some friends that always want to be negative, and that as I was growing, or same thing, like I played softball 3 nights a week, and all those guys were really good friends. But then I decided, I'm like, okay, all you guys do is play softball and go to the bar, and that's just not who I want to be or where I want to be. And I respect you and more power to you, and I hope you live happy lives. But I want to work myself up. Okay. Success to me, I define success to find a good woman, to have a long marriage, going on 17 years. So I got lucky. I found a hot woman with bad eyesight, so that worked out perfect. Success would be for me now, make sure she doesn't go close to the optometrist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's funny. Come on.
No, I'm getting you humor. I'm catching what you're throwing.
So
Yeah.
success was always to me in the past. I always wanted to have a really good family, have a nice daughter. I mean, I have a nice child, boy or daughter, and hopefully be a good example, and then just raise them through. My daughter's about to turn 16. I think she's a wonderful person, so that's success to me now. But now, and I still meet people. They like, especially once you start becoming a little bit famous. I mean, within the last 6 months, I've been around people that offered me cocaine, drugs, alcohol, and
I can
hookers.
only imagine. I can only imagine. Yeah.
And I said no to every one of them. And once they do it, I'm kind of like, hey, don't judge you, but that's not my lifestyle. I have no interest in that lifestyle. And you go do your own thing. And with friends of mine, if they like, I don't judge anybody if they're rich or broke. Doesn't make a difference to me. Makes a difference to me what your attitude is. If you want to go drinking at a bar, I'm the wrong friend. I'm not going to go. If you want to discuss business or how you can build yourself up or go to a card show and have fun and stuff like this, yeah, I'm your friend. Let's go. Let's have some fun. Even when I go to card shows, I always look for business opportunities. Or anything else, like, so even if you might be poor but you want to work yourself up, I'm like, hey, call me anytime. If you have an idea, we can shoot it back and forth. If I can help you, I'll be more than happy to help you. I can give you my perspective if I've ever been through anything like that, or if you just need support. And also that goes back to business, and I have friends that are trying to beat alcoholism, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
call me anytime. If you feel weak, call me, I'll come. So I'll keep I guess I'll keep people in my life that have a positive road where they want to go to, and I kind of
Understood.
cut the people out that want to be negative in any sort of way. And even those people sometimes know I'm like, hey, I'm like super busy. For me, it's so hard to keep a schedule. And like it constantly changes. Like if a killer unit comes up in Florida tomorrow, I might have to fly to Florida, right? Or
Hmm.
if like we just did a coin show where we signed a sponsorship deal like literally 36 hours before the shows. Like so, like I tell my friends, I'm like, yeah, we're friends and we hang out, but never get your feelings hurt because I just live a crazy life. I don't live a normal
You
life. I don't
told
go,
me that. You
huh?
told me that when we first met. You said, "FD, if you message me and I don't hit you right back, don't feel like I'm ignoring you, but I'm really busy." So I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, no, and like we schedule this like 3 weeks in advance. Like I almost never do that with anybody because it's just so hard, and it's. But at the same time, I'm trying to be conscious to people because I don't want them to think, well, he's full of himself, or because I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
just a regular guy. Okay, like I said,
Hmm.
I'm loading a truck right now. I'm dirty. Um, like I'm a regular guy. I appreciate people. I love talking to people. I like obviously I feel pleasure. Not, I almost said pleasure. That would have been weird. I feel honored that people want to interview me or talk to me. Like I think it's all a gift from God that I can talk to somebody, just be myself, which to me is nothing special, but it makes people happy. So I always tell people like, look, just hit me up a few times. You're not bothering me. It's like I'll get back to you. And sometimes on social media it's a little bit hard because I'll get a bunch of messages sometimes.
Well, I appreciate you. So when we talk about what you have bought, sold, and I think you talked a little bit about some things you may keep for a personal PC. But tell us more about some things you make that you say for yourself, either because you like it, that you've come across that you think, oh, this is unique, or you just want to have it in the future? Because I know you've come across many different types of items
Are we talking?
in
Are we
American
talking
history and
sports?
beyond. Oh, we're
Are we
talking sports and beyond.
or sports and beyond? Okay, so I like just like cool. So I'll show you one thing that I keep. Hold on a second. I got a stack of cards here. Like I said, I don't have most of my cards here, but I was cracking a bunch of boxes with a friend of mine, and he pulled these. I'm like, I gotta have these. Not really worth anything, but Mosaic. These are
Oh
Euro
yeah, yeah.
Sergej Gnabry autographs. So because they're German players, I just like them.
Hmm.
So those two I'll keep. Here's an English one. I'll sell. You know, I mean, they're not super high cards, but I think they're neat because, like, I'm really into World Cup soccer, so that's part of the German team. I'm always fans of these guys. So, other than that, like for cards, I have a lot of vintage cards. I like anything Star Wars, obviously, not the new stuff as much. But I like vintage Star Wars stuff. I like vintage, like turn of the century cards of baseball players I've never heard. I was at the Gem Mint Collective. I bought all these. I think they were T108s or maybe they were,
Okay,
I don't remember. I have videos, but they're just long cards that had two cards at each ends with the center card and they fold.
okay.
So I got like five. I got 5 or 6 of those. Guy gave me a good deal. Graded. I love graded stuff for some reason. I don't know why, but like when stuff is graded, it's always super exciting. I love original Star Wars figures, on card and stuff. At one time, I had a huge collection, and then when my store was open, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this an experience. I'll put the whole collection here, just be badass. Anybody that likes Star Wars is gonna be like, I can't believe it's in the store. And I'm like, it's too expensive. They won't be able to buy everything. I just sell a few pieces. My wife is like, you love that stuff. I'm like, yeah, we'll sell a few pieces. And like we sold like everything in 2 weeks. I was like, damn. It started selling fast, and like halfway through, I was like, And I'm like, well, it's not complete anymore. I don't care. But I told my
Yeah.
employees no deals on any of these. And now I started collecting again. I just got a Princess Leia on card,
Okay.
and yeah. So I like really unique stuff, like or stuff that makes good stories or people talk about. Like I just got this, and I'm not sure if I want to keep it yet, but from the Queen Mary, a fire alarm with the wooden board with the top thing, everything. I think that's just kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like historical pieces. I like military stuff, history pieces. All kinds of things. Like I literally collect everything. I like comic books now because the artwork is badass. I could care less about the comics or the characters, but cool covers. And I really like Golden Age. I just like that the color they used back then. And like I probably go more towards like the not necessarily superheroes, but I like the ghost stories and like all the weird stuff. So I love sci-fi comic covers. Signatures. I like all. I mean, I literally like all kinds of stuff. I have a problem, probably.
No, well, I mean, Renee, you see so much. that if I saw what you saw, my collection would probably be, you know,
it's that's the hardest part about the Disney. We just got these two amazing Disney pin videos coming, and I'm like, oh, these are so cool. And I'm like, I can't keep it Disney pins. And I got some really rare ones in there. And like, we did a video with a guy that's really big in the Disney industry. And I'm like, yeah, I just can't do it. I just can't do it.